Everybody, and welcome into the DNVR Sports Podcast presented by Breckenridge Brewery, where you can get the Mountain Beach, the official beer or unofficial beer of summer in Colorado. You got a couple more weeks here of summer to get those mountain beaches in. Yeah, I think you might have just muted me there a little bit. Guys, we're not in our original studio today. Look where we are. Infinity Park out here in Glendale, where they will be hosting the Rugby Sevens. What's that? We're going to find out together here in just a moment. To help me do that, I've got a guy who played rugby once in high school. It's Jake Schwanitz.
Yeah, man. Rugby's a great game. I've been saying it every time I get one of these reads. It's awesome. Even for football fans, it's an easy conversion.
You have been telling Bus fans that you know rugby, but we're about to test that out because we have people that actually know rugby with us. First, it's our guy covering the Raptors for DNVR, Colton Strickler.
How's it going, guys? Thanks so much for having me. This is my second DNVR Sports Podcast ever, so happy to be here. Happy to talk some rugby.
And the first time here at Infinity Park. Look, we got our name on the Jumbotron back there. And then our special guest today, you guys, a legend in the rugby world. He is down Stanford.
Thank you very much. Excited to be here. Excited to get you on the field as well this weekend. I believe you're both going to be playing.
I didn't know that was part of the agreement.
Bring your boots. Bring your boots.
And, of course, Dallin played rugby internationally for Team USA, and he's also commenting the World Cup of Rugby taking place in France here in just a month.
Yeah, that's right. Super excited. One of 4 lead commentators going to France for 30 days to cover the event. Unfortunately, USA isn't playing at that event. We didn't qualify.
Dang it.
But we're hoping to build rugby by events like Rugby Town Sevens so that we can qualify for the next one.
And that's why we're out here. Rugby Town Sevens, a big event coming up this weekend. And I want to start with you, Dallin. Tell me about this event. What is Rugby Sevens and what makes it unique?
Yeah, so Rugby Sevens is in the Olympic Games. It got back in 2016. It's been played in 2020 as well. It is basically a fast, action-packed version of rugby on the same size field as you would a football field. It's 7 minutes a half, so it's non-stop action for those 14 minutes. And basically, the games go down to the wire.
Wait, the games are 14 minutes total?
That's right. That's why I said you could do it. You could do it.
Yeah.
And the great thing about the game is that, you know, as I'm saying, the teams are very even, so anybody can win it at the death.
Right.
You play a bunch of games in the weekend. We got 20 teams from around the globe coming this weekend here to Infinity Park. There's $10,000 on the line. We've got the Armed Forces Championship, which are the 5 branches of the military coming here to play. It's their annual event, so it's very it's a great occasion to welcome them in and their families. So there's a lot on the line.
So you said internationally, like give me an example. Where are some of these teams coming from?
Yeah, so rugby's very popular in South Africa, New Zealand, Australia, and then in the UK. So teams from England, Fiji, the Pacific Islands are amazing at Rugby Sevens. So really, I mean, most of the countries represented. We've got a couple players, one from Kazakhstan, one from South Sudan. You could just drop a pin on a map and we'll probably have a player from there.
Yeah, so we've got a team coming from Tel Aviv. You know, Israel's coming to play. There's a team from South Africa, a lot of teams from the United Kingdom. So the globe is very well represented at this tournament year after year.
And we keep telling people on our shows, Infinity Park, you know, I'd never been here. I'd seen the pictures, but I'd never actually been down here. This place is huge, and it's really nice. It doesn't look like, I thought maybe an improvised, you know, converted football field. No, this is a rugby stadium with seating and everything here. So is this, you know, is it always held right here? Is this like the best stadium, and that's why everybody's coming here?
Yeah, this started in 2012, so this is the 11th anniversary. Didn't go on during COVID, but they started it initially as the International Defense Sevens. So in that same light, you know, it's always been very military focused, but this is where the branches of the military come to play for their rugby championship. So they get to take a 2-week break from their post of, as Dallin likes to say, being a machine gunner or doing this crazy, literally defending our country, come play here. So it started as International Defense Sevens. I think the first year it was 2 tournaments, right? It was International Defense Sevens and then the Sarevi Rugby Town Sevens. Next year they collapsed it into one, just blended it all together, and it's still going on. So that kind of, Sevens really did kick back up. Like, United States really started to take Sevens seriously back in 2012 when it was apparent that it was going to be in the 2016 Olympics. Infinity Park's kind of led the charge on, getting a high-level sevens tournament together, and Dallin can talk a little bit more about that.
Yeah, and I want to say Infinity Park is one of the very few rugby-specific stadiums that was built in 2007. And like a good question you ask, generally rugby's played at other soccer stadiums and things like that. We've been to Soldier Field in Chicago to host, the New Zealand team came and played Ireland. So those football stadiums have been used for rugby, but Infinity Park is trend-setting in that it's just for rugby. The other events that have been held here, it's about a 4,000-seater, and they've had USA international games here. So a couple of games against Chile, Canada, and things like that. And then the home side here, the American Raptors, playing Super Rugby Americas. So the game is really expanding, and without, Mayor Mike Donovan and the crew here, they've really put rugby on the map here in the United States.
So I want to get into the event itself this weekend, because just talking to you before we went live, it sounds really cool. Before we get into the actual game and how it's different from the other rugby, I just want to get into the event, because one of the things you said was that around the globe, the Sevens tournament is like a costume party for fans and spectators. What is that?
Yeah, so there's a thing called the Sevens World Series. So it's basically a Grand Prix style event around the world. There are 10 stops, iconic locations. Cape Town, South Africa, where I'm from, Hong Kong, you go all over the globe. So if you go to the Hong Kong Sevens, unless you've never seen rugby, you will be walking down the street towards the tournament, and you'll see 30 people dressed as avocados. And then you'll see another group dressed as Baywatch fans. So the theme is, it's colorful, it's fast, it's action, it's very lively, it's family friendly, but at the same time, there's also a lot of good carnage and drinking that goes on as well.
But who sets these themes? Like, what made them decide avocados?
No, so that's the individual people that are going to the event. So the general premise is that Sevens is a fast version, exciting version of the game, and fun is encouraged. You'll see the teams wear colorful uniforms and outfits themselves. And so we have, like, I'm wearing a regular shirt now, but on the weekend I'll be wearing like an Hawaiian colored shirt, just because that's the vibe. It's what you want to encourage that,
I think what I like about rugby, and it's really, personified in sevens, is like sports at its core is supposed to be fun, right? And this is fun. This is, it's serious. Teams come to win. They want to win the grand prize. They want to be cup champions. But, at the end of the day, like, you're playing rugby. It's fun. This is what it's about. You just want to come have fun. And Sevens is good about, not taking things too seriously.
Yeah, so I went to the Hong Kong Sevens, which is, by the way, it's one of the iconic events in rugby sevens. It's been going for 40 years or so. And there was a photo of a bunch of people in the newspaper the next day after the tournament. And there was, in the middle page, there I was it's called the South Stand, where everybody goes to party. And there was a photo of me drinking on my shoe. So
Shoey.
We know a Shoey. You know a Shoey, exactly. So that tells you what you you need to know. Sevens is fun.
Are you doing one this weekend?
No. Okay. Hamstring's tight.
When was the last time you did a shoey?
Probably back then.
Exact story. Jake, you played rugby.
I did.
Back in the day.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about your rugby accolades.
I played wing. I used to be a lot faster than I am now, and I thought it was natural for me. I used to play receiver when I played football back in high school, so football season ended my senior year. I was like, well, track's kind of useless now, so went and played rugby, and man, I had a blast. It's just really fun. I love how it's similar to football in terms of, like, your big guys really do determine how good you're going to go, and then your speed is just, it really can make a difference in that department too. It's very physical. It's very fun. It's all about, the brotherhood, the camaraderie.
Right.
It's just a great game, man. Love
Jake,
it.
this is a question I like to ask people on the DNVR Rugby podcast. Like, do you have a specific memory of, like, when you realized rugby was fun? Like, do you remember when it clicked in your brain, like, man, this is actually pretty fun. I like doing this.
I had a pretty nice play where, I don't have the lingo all down right now.
That's okay.
But the other team's, like, driving on us, basically, right? We're basically backed up right on the try line.
Yeah.
And we get the ball back. Someone kicks it way over, and I remember taking off. It was like a kick return. That's what it reminded me of.
Yeah.
You run all the way down the field, picked up the ball, took it all the way back. It was just like a huge swing of momentum. After that, I was like, yep, this is sick.
I like that. Everyone has a memory. I don't know if you do, down. It's kind of ingrained in you, so I don't know if you can remember back to when you were a baby.
Well, at 5 years old, we started playing rugby in South Africa. It's a religion there. But what I do love about the sport coming to the US, a lot of parents would come to me when I was coaching some young kids playing rugby, and they said, hold on, rugby's so dangerous. I've seen some videos. Because you're not wearing any pads, it's more dangerous than other sports. So I had to inform them that because you're not wearing any pads, you keep your head out of the contact.
Yes.
You always lead with your shoulder. You never get your head in the way. So it's actually safer. And so once they see their kids play and they're like, oh, I understand. I'm a small body shape, but I love rugby because you can tackle anybody. Because, again, if you chop their legs low, they're not going to be able to run. So when I watch football and I see people going high, I'm a bit confused because, number one, you're not going to stop that player because if you chop them down to the legs, they can't run. And number two, you might get hurt.
Yeah, I feel like rugby has the biggest brotherhood and sisterhood, for the women that play, but because it's so painful, I just feel like it's like, hey, man, we're all crazy enough to do this, so we're like extra close.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. That's the drink up after, right? You
Yep.
you play rugby, you play, you beat the hell out of each other for 2 hours, and then you go have a beer after. So that's kind of like the whole point of sport.
And the community is around the world. So you asked me how I have a South African accent. How do I get to play for the USA? Well, it all started with bringing a pair of rugby boots to the United States on a holiday. And in that holiday, I joined a rugby club. They were like, you can have a place to stay. Here's an old car to drive around.
Yeah.
Here's a job for cash in hand. And then eventually I met my wife to be from the US, and that's how I qualified. So it's all because of the community.
I was gonna say, if you were on vacation with your wife and you brought your rugby, it's a horrible vacation for the wife.
Yeah.
He's out playing rugby again.
One of the best quotes I can think about, I was interviewing Christian Sarmento, who is kind of a legendary Raptor. He's the all-time leading tackler at the University of Northern Colorado's football program. So he's a monster. But he said something that stuck with me, and he told me, rugby will take you anywhere you want to go, and it'll introduce you to good people. And that's been my experience too. Like the places I've got to go because of rugby, and you always have a place to stay. You always have something in common with somebody. That's kind of been the coolest part about being involved in rugby for the last decade.
So here's the thing that is like, I want to give the hard sell, because we're always talking about the Raptors. We're always talking about this place, but the people that are watching, I think there's something to like, oh yeah, I want to check that out. I want to check that out. This was the weekend.
This is the weekend.
It sounds like
yeah.
this is the time to come down, because as you mentioned, Sevens is a faster, quicker game. They take 14 minutes. Like, you're going to be watching game after game, and they're going to happen quick. So the excitement's there, but also just the speed of it. And then on top of that, it's a weekend. You have this whole thing, like, get it with your buddies and come down, and this is the weekend to check it out.
Yeah, it totally is. And this is a great thing. There's 62 games over 3 days. So it's Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So you can go online. You can get tickets on the website. You can download the app as well to keep updated. And the great thing is you can support many different teams. So you've got Fiji that are playing in a couple of teams, and they play a different style to maybe the South Africans or maybe the Americans. The Canadians are here too.
What are styles, though, real quick? What does that mean?
So the Fijians, they basically can run with the ball in one hand because they're very tall and big. And once they get tackled, they can flick the ball like a basketball pass back like that. Where most teams get tackled, they'll go to ground with the ball and they'll set up what's called a ruck, and then they'll pass the ball. So they're so unpredictable that it's hard to defend.
A little more reckless. Like if they screw up, man, you're
correct.
Yeah.
And they're throwing no-look passes over the shoulder.
Okay.
So
It sounds just like Patrick Mahomes.
There we go.
Oh, don't bring up that guy's name on our show, please.
You ruined the Fijians.
And then you get some other abrasive styles like maybe Kenya, South Africa, that are just going to run you over. They're not going to sidestep you.
Really?
They're going to go straight for you and knock you down to the ground because they're physically, going to overpower you. So every country has a kind of a different way to play.
Okay. Let me some of the Raptors guys, I'm told, are participating this
Yeah,
weekend?
there's going to be a few Raptors spattered throughout different teams throughout the tournament. I think Tsunami Barbarians, we've got Samu Smith and Sean Clark. Sean Clark is an interesting guy. He's, what did you say, as tall as a ladder?
Yeah,
he's huge. He's 6'8", 6'9".
Oh, wow.
He's a football convert, so he had to, he's playing tight end at Monmouth. Had a look with the Indianapolis Colts for, an off season. And he's picked up rugby within the last few years, and he's been really, like, he can do whatever he wants, really. Like, if he was to pursue a career in 15s and trying to make the World Cup, that's on the table. And he's also, built for sevens. It's just he can make a choice. So Samu Smith, though, another exciting player. So there'll be a spattering of Raptors on a couple different teams throughout the tournament.
And one thing I want to add to that, so you get a lot of crossover athletes that come to rugby, particularly here in the US and North America. And some of the best players in the world, there's a guy called Perry Baker. He's a 2-time World Rugby Sevens Player of the Year. That's every country involved, and he's an American. No, he's the only player to win it 2 times. Super fast, electric. He's very thin, and you would think one tackle and he'll be broken, but he's made of steel. So he joined rugby, and within 6 months was playing for the national side and was lighting up the series. And the same goes for the women's side of things. So I think rugby sevens is very suited, for new players coming to rugby. It's less technical than 15-a-side, and you could go to the Olympics.
Right.
I think Perry Baker, the reason he even picked up rugby is he had a look with the Philadelphia Eagles and didn't work out, and so he was looking for something to do. And Paul Holmes, I think, scooped him up, Tiger Rugby, and yeah, he's one of the best ever.
What's it like working with those guys, or just seeing those guys? Like, how many of them take to it right away? Is there like apprehension? Are they terrible? They get
no. So the thing I've been most surprised about the crossover thing is like really how serious people took it. Like you would expect. I don't know. Maybe that's bad to say, but I just kind of expected like, oh, I've got this thing. I'm just going to do this until I get another workout. But no, they come in, they take it super serious, and they're really not bad. They're pretty good because they're natural athletes. And I will say that the thing I was most surprised about was how well basketball translates. That's something I never really considered until I see these guys that have basketball backgrounds, how they move in space and how they handle the ball. Like, it's moving this way and, making space for another person to run right behind him. So draw and pass and just how well they can handle the ball, in tight spaces. I've been really surprised about that as well.
Let me know. You mentioned the armed forces being out here. I'm going to put you on the spot. You're going to tell me you can't say, but I'm going to make you say.
Yeah.
Who's the best?
Army.
Really? Oh,
Yeah,
you
I can say it. And the reason why I can say is they've won the tournament 8 times.
Okay, so this is actually not a secret.
No, it's not.
The Marines have won it once, and Navy have won it once. But Army, of course, they're the favourites. They come in. I think where they've got an advantage, they have a few players through the W Cap program that train with the USA Sevens team. So that experience and those players come through. They also bring a familiar team each year. So they're excellent. And so it would be a surprise if they did lose a game. But again, it's Sevens. Things can happen.
Right.
And that's why I never bet on the game, and I'm not allowed to either.
And then lastly, is there like this weekend, there's so many teams playing, is there like a team that is, hey, this is the favorite, this is the one everybody's gunning for?
Yeah, great question. So because, outside of the 5, military teams, the other 15 sides, the defending champions are back again, the Rambling Jesters. And they're a side that never go to bed angry. They're very colourful. They're just a good bunch of people. A lot of them from the UK, a lot of them here from the US as well. So they'll be good, but the USA has a Club Sevens national champion every year, and the 2-time champions back-to-back are here as well, NAV 7, so they'll be very good. And then you never know. Some of these Fijian sides, these other sides come through, it could be anybody's game.
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing. The Jesters, I think every year they've been in it, what's the worst? They finished 4th. They're always in the mix. They're always in the mix on the last day. NAV 7s is a good pick. I kind of got my eye on infantry rugby. I'm intrigued by them. Seems like a lot of Fijians on that team, and who knows, like Dallin said, anything can happen in 7s.
I've got to shout out the Tsunami Barbarians as well. They gave me a nice shirt, so I have to shout them out.
He doesn't believe in it at all, but they did give him a shirt. I love it. Is there anything else, Dallin, before we let you go, man, that you want to promote this weekend? Yeah,
I just want to say, it's a family affair, which is nice. So if you have kids, bring them out to come watch, or if you just want to catch up with friends, come to the rugby, have some drinks and things like that. It's really open for everybody. And the great thing about the game, as I was saying, is you take in a new sport, it's played around the globe. So when you do transition and watch the Sevens World Series, USA is a very good team, men and women. Both teams are qualified for the Olympic Games early, which is great. So, this is a sport that's here for the future, and I really hope more people get to play the game here, because there's so many brilliant athletes that stop playing after college, whatever their chosen sport is. If they are interested in tackling and running, like you did when you were Foster back in the day, it's a great sport.
So real quick, beer here on concessions with beer?
Yep,
you
beer.
Got ice cream?
There's 3 different breweries, I think, coming. There's beer. There's a bar there. Plenty of food. Yep, Kona Ice will be here.
Kona Ice, okay.
4 or 5 different food trucks. So it'll be
4 or 5 food trucks.
Yeah, there'll be a lot of. It's a good time, right? This Sevens is a party. So this is, like Dallin said, I can't reiterate it enough. This is if you want to try rugby, this is it. It's easy to understand. Sevens is way less complicated than 15s. It's action packed. There's no downtime. This is the weekend to give it a try.
You guys got me sold, man. This sounds like an awesome event. I can't wait to follow it. And Jesters, I didn't know I'm a Jesters guy.
Well, now you're a fan.
I'm a lifelong Jesters fan over here. Thank you guys so much.
Well, thanks for having us.
All right, let's take a break. On the other side, we're going to get into some of our other top stories. In fact, we're going to start off by ranking who's the toughest. Is it basketball players, as I'm going to advocate for, the toughest athletes in all sports? We'll find out.
All right, guys. Oh, we're doing ads now?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay. Meal kits are awesome. The worst part about meal kits, though, is having to cook. Factor takes all of that out for everyone. Factor meal kits are delivered straight to your door, already basically ready to go. Just pop them in the microwave for 2 minutes. They're always fresh, never frozen meals. Tons of good options, too. If you are on a diet, if you are keto, they've got you covered. They got breakfast, they got smoothies, all kinds of great stuff.
Dude, the kitchen at DNVR right now is all factory. Have you noticed the fridge?
Yeah.
The fridge is just everybody's factory.
I know. It's amazing. It's delicious stuff. So head on over to factormeals.com/
you can go
DNVR50.
Okay, DNVR50, not DNVR50. There you go.
And then use that code DNVR50 to get 50% off. Again, that's code DNVR50 at factormeals.com/ DNVR50 to get 50% off. Also, shout out to our friends over at Game Time. Game Time makes buying tickets very easy. Man, we've got football coming up. We still have Rockies going on. Tons of stuff out there. Game Time is your one-stop shop for all the tickets out there.
We got Nathaniel Rateliff tonight. I might hop on the Game Time app right after this, see if I can't get Nathaniel Rateliff to. You a Nathaniel Rateliff fan?
Yeah, I like Nathaniel Rateliff.
That was a lie.
He's a Denver guy. He's a Denver guy. It's not, not my first choice, but he's a Denver guy. I like
all right.
Concerts, games, all that stuff. You can snag the tickets without the stress with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use the code DNVR. You'll get $20 off your first
Colton
purchase.
spent all his money on Taylor Swift. That's why he's.
I'm broke.
Well, you can get $20 off if you use code DNVR.
If I had money.
Solo ticket to Taylor Swift. Very, very unique, for the solo ticket. All right. I wanted to have a little fun. Before we get into some of these other sports, I wanted to get into a little bit of fun here and just talk about my impression of rugby is that they're some of the toughest dudes I've ever seen. Now, Dallin is actually trying to convince me otherwise, that no, you don't wear pads, so nobody's actually hitting that hard. I feel like that's a lie. So I wanted, and this is going to be your list, Colton. Okay. It's going to be your list, and we're just going to critique every single thing you do here.
Bring it on. I got broad shoulders.
So we're going to bring, I got a couple sports for you here. The main ones, we're going to go with football, basketball, hockey, baseball. We're also going to add in the combat sports, wrestling, boxing, MMA. And then we're just for fun, we're going to throw in lacrosse, and we're going to throw in soccer, okay, and rugby. Okay. Those are our sports, and I want you to put them in order, and you can kind of see my list here. You can put them in order of what you think is the toughest. What dudes are the toughest?
I think hockey is the top. I think
really?
Hockey, I do.
Even more so than boxing?
I still think hockey is the top. I just like hearing what these people play through. What is it? Who was it last year? Was it Cogliano that played through broken neck? I don't think a boxer. Could be wrong. I'm not a huge boxing guy. If you break your neck while you're boxing, I think you're probably stopping. Yeah. I think it's on your corner. It's irresponsible to let you keep going. So
hockey dudes don't even get their teeth fixed. They're just what's a bit not a big deal.
And that game's fast as hell.
That is fast.
Yeah, and they play with metal sticking out of their body and stuff like that.
When they jump in front of the puck or something like that, face first, to block it.
Yeah, no,
you're best case scenario, you get hit by a puck.
Right. Yeah, in your leg, and now you're limping.
I think hockey takes a top spot.
Okay.
I think MMA I'll probably put second. I know I bumped into you in Vegas, Adam, at Summer League. Yeah. I went to my first UFC fight.
Nice.
My brother and I were talking about this last week. It was crazy to see. It's literally just two guys just beating the hell out of each other in a ring. That's literally it. Because you see on maybe you're a little desensitized to it on TV, but before there's all these people in there. It looks like a bit, and then everyone just clears out, and these guys just wail on each other. Yeah. So I think I'll go MMA next because you do see people getting their arms snapped in half, or breaking toes and fingers and whatever. And if it's not that bad, they will finish the fight. So I'll go MMA next.
Okay.
What else we got on here? You said wrestling?
You got wrestling, you got boxing, you got rugby, football, soccer. I don't know if soccer's next.
I don't think soccer. I think soccer would probably be in the lower third of this list.
Talking trash of soccer right now.
Sorry, soccer. I think let's go. This is tough. Let's put rugby third. I would be, I'm the rugby guy here. Got to put rugby decently high.
Firmly ahead of football, in your opinion?
I don't know if I'd go firmly. There's some real rugby hardos that would be no, it's way tougher. Had the opportunity, be credentialed by the Broncos for the 2017 season, so I've seen what they play through and how brutal that is. So I'll go rugby 3.
Okay.
Sevens particularly, I wish Dallin was here for this, but Nate Ebner is kind of the poster boy for USA Sevens. He played for the Patriots for a long time. I think he finished playing with the New York Giants, but Bill Belichick granted him permission to try to make the Olympic Sevens team. In 2016, he did it. It was his first love, played at Ohio State. And he's talked about just it is the most, training for Sevens is the most brutal thing he ever did. And he was an established NFL, solid core special teamer, saw second and third contracts. I'll take his word for it.
Is that because of the conditioning? That part's what makes it hard?
I think it is just conditioning, and I've seen, in my rugby experience, people, you get your thumb snapped off, and it's whatever, I'm just gonna we'll finish the game. It's stuff like that. So
that
they do play
horrible.
For brutal things.
Did you hear that?
Yeah, but there's instances of that in football as well. So I think with that, we'll go football 4 after rugby.
All right.
Yeah,
it's tough. We all know football.
Yeah,
it's tough.
Football's tough.
Who was the guy? He played for San Francisco. He was
Jared Haynes.
Yes.
He got himself into some trouble. He's canceled.
Oh, did he?
But he was fun to watch. It's okay. He was fun to watch before he was doing bad stuff. Yeah. But so I think football's next. A lot of the same things, right? You know what goes on at bottoms of piles and what people play through, and
they're fast too. Like those athletes are.
It's like bred to be as big and strong as you can and hit people as hard as you can. So.
I always love when you see a guy with like a 4.6 40 or something, and you're thinking like, oh, a running back, and it's like, oh no, he's a tackle, and you're like, wait, what? Yep. This big 300. This dude's moving like that.
When I was in 6th or 7th grade, it was like the first time I ever stepped foot on a NFL field. I did some, I don't know if it was through like school or youth football or something. That was kind of the first time I was like, these guys are gigantic. These are huge people hitting each other really hard. Let's go wrestling after that. I don't really have much experience with wrestling. But
I feel like this one's sneaky not tough.
I've heard that wrestling can be
you
pretty
think it's
intense.
Pretty tough?
Yeah.
More than boxing?
It's a lot of. They're pretty similar. They're a lot of cardio, but man,
yeah, they are a lot of cardio. But boxing, I just feel like, man, you got to have a strong chin.
Did I not pick boxing yet? Because if I could, I would switch boxing and wrestling.
Okay,
right, there we go.
Boxing goes ahead of wrestling. I talked him into it. All right.
I just forgot about boxing. I'm having
wrestling just feels like more of a leverage sport.
Yeah.
Like I don't know if you're really hurt that much. You're just laying on guys.
I feel like the hard part about wrestling is all the training.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Maybe the actual. I'm speaking totally of. I don't know. I've never wrestled in my life, but maybe the events isn't as hard as all the work you have to put in to actually do the event.
All right. So you are disrespecting right now baseball, soccer, basketball, and lacrosse. What order? What order are we going toughness here?
See, again, I don't really know much about lacrosse.
Me neither.
Let's go basketball ahead of lacrosse. That's going to make the lacrosse people mad.
Yeah, just do that.
But basketball's pretty hard. You're getting stomped on. It's a lot of moving back and forth. You're getting banged around down there.
Strong dudes, man. Yeah. If you ever sit courtside for an NBA game, they really are hitting each other away. It does. It looks like they're just kind of rolling off each other, but it's a lot of just super super athlete. This isn't me and you just doing this. These are guys that have so much force. I'll say this. I'm 40. I'm 39. When I was coming up, the only kids that played lacrosse are the ones that couldn't play the real sports. So I'm going to go ahead and fire shots. It's like, oh, you got cut from the football team? You should join the lacrosse club. That's the thing.
Okay, that's there's been Jim Brown. I think he played lacrosse.
I think you're right. Yeah,
Jim Brown. You're right.
He was a hell of an athlete. So we'll go lacrosse after basketball.
Okay.
Soccer,
baseball,
you got sticks. You
want?
have weapons. I'm going baseball, and then I'm going soccer.
Oh, poor
soccer. We'll flip it. Let's go soccer, then baseball.
I think that's right.
Yeah.
Baseball, the least tough guys, huh?
I think so. That's the only sport you're missing with blisters and stuff, right? Right.
And baseball has the most fake tough guys. When you guys clear the benches and we're just talking shit in the middle, not even actually fighting, and then we just go back. It's what are we doing?
Who's the guy that knocked out Tim Anderson?
Oh, I don't know. Who was that?
I wouldn't want to tussle with that guy. He's the toughest baseball player.
You know what, though? That's the thing that's what happened in that fight. Then why it's so interesting is we've seen that 100 times, 1,000 times we've seen it, and nothing ever happens. Guys just kind of do this, and then there's a push. And this time there was an actual. Even Tim Anderson was probably like, "Oh crap!"
Right. I think I saw the funniest tweet I saw come out of that was if you watch the ump at second base, he immediately goes from being a baseball ump to a boxing referee. He does the way he takes his stance, and then Tim Anderson just took a dirt nap.
That's how hockey is, where they're like, oh, get your arms up. Oh, they're fighting. Okay, go for it.
Right.
No rules now.
Yep. Can you give me a recap, Adam? I think I botched it a little bit, but I'm pretty happy with it.
You went with hockey number 1. Mm-hmm. You went with MMA number 2.
Okay.
Rugby number 3. Football, boxing, wrestling, basketball, lacrosse, soccer, and then baseball.
I'm pretty happy with that.
Happy with it.
I think I maybe put boxing a little bit too low, but I'm pretty happy with that.
I think you might have. All right, hey, when we put this out, make sure it's Colton Strickler's tagged. All replies go straight to our guy, Colton.
Bring it on.
All right, let's take a quick break. On the other side, let's do a little Buffs, little Broncos update.
Let's do it.
Jake, we're going to rely on you for this.
I got you. Shout out to Shady Rays. I tell you, I promise, these are the best sunglasses I've ever bought in my life. Everyone gives me so many compliments on these. They're Broncos colors. They're perfect.
Oh, yeah, look at that.
So you can go to Shady Rays, shop their entire collection at the Park Meadows Mall, or go to shadyrays.com.
These glasses are about to go 3 and out.
Oh, come on, man. Shady Rays has hundreds of combinations of frames and lenses. Again, go to the Park Meadows Mall or shadyrays.com. Use the code DNVR. You'll get 50% off 2 or more pairs of polarized sunglasses. And you can try for yourself the shades rated 5 stars by over 250,000 people.
Love it.
That's and then Circle K. It is a lot of people. A lot of people know about Circle K, too. We're excited to partner with our friends over there. And make sure you check out your local Circle K for the best coffee, beer, and snack selection, premium gas as well.
Colton, have you ever had? They have the new M&Ms. It's
What are
all
they?
3 M&Ms together. It's regular, peanut butter, and peanut M&Ms in one bag.
Bella, we need that. We need that for the office.
I'm telling you right now, it is the top form of M&M.
Wow.
If you're going into a Circle K, like what are you getting? Like you're just on a quick road trip, just like a quick snack. What are you getting?
I used to have a different answer, but I'm telling you, it's these M&Ms. I don't know what they're called, but you'll see the bag. It's all of them.
Okay.
I'm telling you, it brings it all together.
I'm a huge sunflower seeds and like corn nuts guy, and then tea.
Corn
Love it.
nuts guy.
And
My
Oh, I
college,
love corn nuts. Ranch corn nuts, baby.
you have strong teeth to eat those. In college, when I was burning the midnight oil, I would get a Monster Reese's.
That was it.
That would keep me up.
Recipe
As you
for
could probably
success, huh?
imagine.
That's a classic.
Shout out to Circle K for sponsoring DNVR. Make sure you guys visit your nearest Circle K to pick up all your favorite finds.
All right, back here, Denver Sports Podcast. We got Colton Strickler, Jake Schwanitz. Now, Jake, you are a week away, a little more than a week away, from your first Buffs game in the Coach Prime era.
Yeah, man.
It's funny because it's been a long time, but also it feels like it's been so quick from December when this whole thing went down to now. But it's finally here, and here's the thing, man. This is my question. The Buffs have been theoretical for 7 months, and it's been so fun being theoretical. This either breaks really fun in a week or it breaks a little bit less fun. How confident are you? I'm not even saying that they're going to beat TCU, although you can give me your take. But how confident are you that this gets better, not worse, in the coming week?
Well, first off, I feel like I can't back down now. I'm too deep in. So,
It's so true.
I mean, man, I keep telling everyone, I'm so impressed with what's going on out there. Everyone's kind of getting along. They're all jiving together. The coaches are really happy with their talent, their depth. And I think that they're going to take it to TCU, and they're going to surprise some people. I mean, they're not getting any respect. It's a 20.5-point line. And on Twitter, all you see is, oh, they're going to put 50 on CU, blah, blah, blah. I think a lot of people are going to be surprised with what they see next Saturday.
Colton, you're a CSU guy.
I am a CSU guy. I feel scared right now to speak on this, but I just got to see it to believe it, man. I feel like that's what I can say. I got to see it to believe it. I just remember there was a lot of, I know it's a completely different situation, but everyone was saying the same thing last year, right? Week 1 TCU, everyone was saying that it was a crazy line, and it turned out not to be. So I know it's a different situation. I just got to see it to believe it.
My thing is, Vegas is not in the business of losing money. And Vegas having them, this far down, it's like they don't do that to lose money. They're trying to split the bets, and so generally speaking, they know what they're doing here. But, here's my other thing. I'm sure the Buffs are motivated. Coach Prime, I think, is a great motivator, great energy creator. They're going to have that. But you know what? There's nothing better in sports than getting the overhyped team. I think TCU's coming into this very motivated as well, just because it's like, man, everybody's talking about these. The CU's kind of the pretty team.
Yeah,
I think they're the pretty team, and to me, that's the thing I'm so curious about. Is TCU to me feels like they're going to give their best punch.
And we said that on our show today. What you said, it really kind of feels in the build up to this game very similar to last year. Of course, a lot of things are different. It's going to be the same starting quarterback that started that game last year, Chandler Morris. And then it was halftime when Duggan came in. He ends up going on a crazy Heisman run. They go to the playoff to the national championship game. They don't have a Max Duggan waiting in the wings this year. So we'll see if Chandler Morris was able to make that jump. They have, man, I watch preseason football. I'm a sicko.
Yeah.
And there are a lot of TCU players out there making plays in preseason football right now. So they have some guys coming into the portal. They got 3 Alabama transfers that probably are going to start as well. So it's going to be a hell of a game, I think, and a lot closer than many are expecting.
Correct me if I'm wrong. It was relatively close at halftime last year, wasn't it?
7-6 at halftime.
So it was very close. Then.
Yeah.
It wasn't relatively close. It was close.
Yep.
Okay.
And then Duggan came in, and it was over.
I fell asleep.
Yeah, don't blame me.
So how important is this for week 1? Because I know a lot of this is it's a new coach, new program, all these new players. Like, give it some time. It's going to take some time. But narrative, man, I just feel like week 1 narrative is so huge for this Buffs team.
For sure. I mean, you're kind of caught between, like, two sides of it here because it is the first game, and I feel that the team, Coach Prime, even fans have to kind of maintain perspective. Like, this is game 1 of what is going to be a multi-year process. So I get that it's maybe not as much urgency, but at the same time, Coach Prime's not going to, they're going to be ready to go. He's going to have them ready. The coaches feel confident, man, and I understand there's a lot of naysayers and doubters, but man, I think this team's really ready to prove some people wrong.
I feel like I want to be a hater, but everything that I've read, from you, from everyone, like that's in and around the program is like hammer the over. Like it just feels like we don't know what we've got in the mix right now. So like, as I'm trying to be an educated consumer, and everyone close to it's like, oh, they're going to be nasty, they're going to be really good. I'm a CSU guy though at heart, so
I get it.
Yeah.
But man, so I saw them the first time last year, basically right after I started. They had a scrimmage on a Saturday. I went to it, and you watch it. You're not allowed to really report a lot on it, but I was just like, man, like, I don't know. They look good against each other, but I'm not like convinced they're going to be good. They've got guys like Travis Hunter making one-handed grabs all the time. Shador's running around just making insane throws. Like, they're so much better. They really are.
What about the energy of it all?
For the team?
Yeah, just compared to last year, this year, because to me, that's the thing about Coach Prime, right? It's just he exudes energy.
Yeah, so, I mean, last year was tough, man, because especially after halftime, I think Casey Roddick, who was a team captain there last year, he's at FSU now. But he was like, really after halftime, you could feel like the energy just kind of deflate. And that's just not going to happen with this team. Right. Even if they're down by 17 points or something, like, Coach is going to be out there firing them up. These guys have really taken control and it's really becoming a player-led team. So the accountability is at a much different level. The energy just overall and the belief and the confidence is at a different level too.
What does it mean if they beat TCU in week 1?
Oh, my God.
What happens to the hype?
We go through the roof. Nebraska's the next week, so that game's going to be hyped up even more, of course.
Yeah.
But if you beat TCU, that's one of the top 4 or 5 toughest games on the schedule. Like, they get USC at home. Who's to say if they beat TCU away, why can't they beat USC at home, Right. So it's a snowball effect if they win this game.
And if they lose? And not just lose, but let's say it's the line's 20, they lose a little bit worse than that. Doesn't really feel good.
Yeah, I mean, this is a team that was in the playoff. They are always one of the best teams in the Big 12. So it's a great measuring stick for sure. And if you lose by that much, it does kind of hurt, I think. But you have some games where you can really pick up wins in the season. They got Stanford at home. You got ASU, who's going to have a true freshman starting at quarterback this year. They just announced. CSU, you should win that game, sorry. But they've got some games on the schedule that even if they lose this game, not all hope is lost.
There's some stabilization later on and what have you. And then just tell me the general rhythm of this game. I mean, you're saying take the over, Colton. So you're thinking this is this like a tons of passing? What is this game going to look like?
Yeah, I think it's going to be pretty high octane. I think we'll see a lot of scoring. I don't know what the over-under is right now.
I was talking win total.
Win total.
Okay, I got you.
I mean, it's probably somewhere around 50. And TCU, I mean, Sonny Dykes, the head coach, he coached at SMU for a long time. They really ran the air raid out there. He kind of brought that back. Kendall Briles is their OC now. Art Briles, who also was canceled. But he revolutionized this like wide open college football offense, and that's what's going to be coming out of TCU. Sean Lewis's offense is high octane too. I think it's going to be a lot of scoring, honestly.
All right, Colton, I'm ready to run through a wall after this. After I listen to this Buffs hype. I mean, my guy Jake, we cover all bunch of teams, at DNVR. Nobody's higher on their respective team than Jake is.
I get the vibe.
We just won the championship. I don't know if you know this. Nuggets just won. I'm not quite as high on the Nuggets as Jake is on the Buffs.
Yeah.
I don't know if you caught that.
They're building something out there.
They're building something. All right, so we're going to go from that hype now. Let's try to channel that hype to talk Broncos.
Let's go.
Because I will say this, man. I've said this a bunch of times. There's no point in being a downer about your team this time of year. You can be honest about them. You can give assessment. But the people that want to be like, I'm going to be right about how bad this Broncos team is or this, that, I'm like, get rid of it, man. Give me something positive from this year. So I want to start. Broncos are a week and a half away, 2 weeks away now from their season starting. Let's give some hot takes, optimistic hot takes that we have for the Broncos. And I'll go first just to kind of set the tone here. I think they're going to do something this year that they haven't done since 2018. Score 40 points in a football game. They're going to score 40 in a game this year at least once, if not twice, but I'm only going to go once, at least once. It's not that hard to score 40 in the NFL.
I'd probably cry, honestly.
They lose 55-40.
No,
and we're like, yes,
no.
We got it, 40 points.
Oh, that means we have even more problems if that's the case.
I think there's one game where they go out, and they had 37 last year. Look how terrible they were last year. This year, I just think there's a game where it all clicks for them, and they get 40.
Yeah, Sean Payton's an offensive genius, man. He can make it work with whoever.
Are you taking that bet?
Yeah, I'll take that bet. So the Broncos are my team. Like, it's my favorite team. I'm from here. I love the Broncos. I'm taking the bet. I'm high on them. I'm ready to go this year. I'm feeling good about how things are going. You want me to just spit my hot take right now?
If you got
They beat the Chiefs twice.
Let's go!
They beat them twice. Two times. They beat them twice.
I love it.
I think they're overall more competent than they have been. They were close last year.
Yes.
Yes. And they're just overall more competent. They're just more well-rounded. This is the year, man. There's third graders that have never seen this happen. There's actual third grade humans that have never seen the Broncos beat the Chiefs, and they'll get a double dose this year.
My guy's cooking.
Yeah.
That's like I mean, how many peppers is that one, Kale? That's got to be 5 peppers.
I love
That's a
it.
full
Yeah.
5.
Absolutely
I thought my
love it.
40-point bet, I was like, that's a good, like, it's pretty aggressive. And he came in with twice. You know, if that happens, it'll be a big deal. This is one of those things where it's like, even in a down year, you know, CSU having a down year football-wise, but there's always the game. Like, you beat CSU, or you beat CU. And it's like, it wasn't a great year, but you know what? We did have that. That would be that one. Whatever happens to the Broncos, you beat the Chiefs twice.
For sure. Going 2-14. 2-15 now, or whatever.
Hey, may take it still, though. If you get 2 wins over the Chiefs, might just take it.
To beat the Chiefs, though, you might need 40 points. So we might have the same 2 birds with 1 stone here. All right, Jake,
be good.
There's no way you top that.
I can't.
Super Bowl?
I as much as I want to. I'm going to say Jerry Jeudy finally emerges as one of the best receivers in the NFL.
Man. I'm not going to be a downer. I like it. Let's go, baby. This is the year.
He's supremely talented. He's in an offense that is going to scheme him open. He doesn't have to just rely on his talent now to get open and, just get opportunities down the field. Russ sounds like he's coming along. If he's able to we've seen it a little bit in the second preseason game, him taking off and run. What I want to see from him is what he did in Seattle, which is when he it looked like he was panicking a bit behind the line, but he would just kind of shift around, dip and dodge, and find his windows. Like, I need that Russ back.
We kind of saw it in the preseason. I mean, we haven't seen him that much, but I mean, he was scrambling, especially in this last game. There just was a lot of not planned runs, but just scramble, make the play. And so I'm slightly optimistic about it.
While we're on the Broncos, I want to give a shout out. Michael Bandy, he's a receiver. He's wearing number 46 right now. Tough receiver number. Caught 3 passes in the first game, though. He was playing with the Chargers, but Michael Bandy actually played rugby here. He was part of the original Colorado XO team. In between, football opportunity, and he's actually turned it into something.
How cool is that?
Been in the NFL. This is his 3rd year, so
that's awesome, man.
He started for the Chargers in that playoff game last year. I'm sure they'd like to forget about, but So shout out Michael Bandy.
Shout out Michael Bandy, man. That was awesome. All right, let's take our final break. On the other side, I'm going to ask a question. Could this be the greatest decade in Denver sports history?
What
the 2020s.
You guys have Breckenridge Brewery here?
I think.
You do. Yes, you do.
Yeah, we
Sounds
do.
Good. Love it.
Strawberry Sky.
Hell yeah. Mountain Beach Sour is the beer of the month at the DNVR bar, but Strawberry Sky is very summery. Breckenridge Brewery has a beer for any occasion, and there's no better way to watch a game than having some Breck brews. They've been doing it for 33 years. We got tons of them on tap. As I said, Mountain Beach Sour beer of the month. If you want to find some Breck brew near you, make sure to check out their beer locator at www.breckbrew.com. Also, shout out to our friends at Bet365. College football is right around the corner. NFL is right around the corner. Make sure you are ready to go.
Can you bet on the 7s? Do you know?
No, but there is a thing that they're doing here this year. It's called Play the Pitch. So it's kind of like fantasy football. You pick the 4 teams you think are going to score the most points, and there's a lot of really cool prizes. You can win an Xbox, you can win airline tickets.
Hell yeah.
So
That's
kind
awesome.
of, not really.
But you can go and sign up at Bet365 and turn $1 into $200 of bonus bets when you join Bet365. Download the app. Just deposit $10 and claim your $200 in bonus bets as soon as you place a $1 bet. So you can put a $1 bet on anything, no matter win or lose. If you deposited $10, bang, $200 right after that. Download the Bet365 app and use code DNVR365 when you sign up. Must be 21 or older and physically located in Colorado. Please gamble responsibly. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call or text 1-800-GAMBLER.
Alrighty, we are back. Final segment of the Denver Sports Podcast. And look at where we are out here at Infinity Field here in Glendale. Not very far from the Cherry Creek Mall, if you're wondering about where it is. Kind of tucked away a little bit here, but it is a gorgeous facility, a gorgeous stadium, great seating. And this weekend, of course, the Rugby Sevens. Major event going on here. Do you know what's the ticket price to get in?
It's $10. You can buy a weekend pass, get in all 3 days for $20. So.
All 3 days for $20. Bring out the family. They got the Kona Ice. They got food. They got beer. They got all kinds of stuff. And if you were just at all curious about rugby, come on down, have a good time, check it out. This is the weekend to check it out if you've been curious. Guys, I don't know if you've been paying attention, but we have 2 championships in the city of Denver and the state of Colorado so far this decade. We've got the Avs, we've got the Nuggets, and both teams have a chance to kind of keep this thing going. If you were to say what is the best decade of sports in Colorado, I think at this moment it is pretty easily the 90s. That is when we got the Avs, we got the Rockies, so just like acquiring teams was like an awesome thing, and it shaped them. Like I said, I'm 39, so that shaped my life when like they came in. That was a big story. And then you get your first 2 Super Bowls, which were absolutely iconic. Probably the first Super Bowl is probably the best championship in Colorado sports history. The first Broncos one, but then you also got an Avs championship in there, so you get 3. You get the Rockies and the Avs. I think that's the number 1. Is there any dispute?
No.
I don't think so, man.
You also, by the way, got CU.
Yeah, CU's national championship.
right.
I was going to say that too. So, yeah, I think 90s is probably, in the driver's seat right now.
That being said, we're 2 in, only 3 years in. We already got 2, and here's what's encouraging about it. The Nuggets are set up to compete. You never can count championships before they happen, but they are set up to have a window of opportunity that I think extends for 4 to 5 years, maybe beyond that. Who knows? I think the Avs, the exact same situation. It extends for multiple years. The Broncos, who knows? Football, teams. Like right now, we don't see a path to where it's like, A, B, and then C happens. But 7 years in the NFL, so much can happen.
And you got a Super Bowl winning head coach right now, too.
That's true. I mean, that is a big part of it. Like, they have a head coach that, for the first time, really, in 8 years, is a coach that I at least have confidence in. It's not that those guys didn't have to fail, the Vance Josephs, but they did. But this is a guy at least we know can do it.
Exactly.
The Rockies, the Rockies are going to – here's the thing I was telling people about the Rockies. They're probably not going to win in the World Series, but they probably will have 1 or 2 good years between now and 2030.
For sure.
And when the Rockies are good, or when they're in the mix, it's fun. Like, it's objectively fun. Playoff baseball is really fun. And, they've proven that they can do that. And then again, playoff baseball, anything can happen. You live and die with every pitch. So I have faith that the Rockies can at least get back to that, but I'm with you. I'm not sure they'll ever win a World Series.
But then we have the wild cards. Like Jay Norvell up in CSU is like an exciting – I do feel like sometimes are you going to be good, and then do you have a direction? I don't know if CSU is going to be good, but they have a direction, which is encouraging. And then CU, winning a national – like college championship, that seems so far-fetched. But getting Deion Sanders, Coach Prime, to come to Boulder seemed far-fetched until it happened. In fact, I remember talking to you like a week before, and I was like, bro, some people are saying this is going to happen. It's like, I don't know, man. I don't know. So you never know. Maybe a CU, gets us into that as well, where we're talking about, the 2020s. That's when we had the Coach Prime era. That's when we had the Jokic era, the McKinnon. What are realistically, what are the odds this is the decade?
I mean, I think we're set up pretty well right now, and that's what, at least for CU, that's what Coach Prime's coming here to do. Like, he talks about it, and he's not afraid of talking about it too. But
he talks about
going to the playoff, winning national titles. Yeah, that's what he says.
He sets the bar that high.
Yeah, I mean, in the facility, in their locker room, they've got a whole, their thing, smart, tough, fast, disciplined, and next to it is the CFP National Championship Trophy.
Let me ask this: what would it take, honestly, to win that? Because I don't see it happening this year.
Nick Saban has to retire for one.
Do you think that's it? Well, here's what I'm asking. This year, let's say they win 7 or 8, and they, everybody's stock goes up. And so then it becomes like, now can you compete on the recruiting field with, some of these other teams? Like, is that the step? This year really perform well. Next year, you're not just getting a couple 5-stars. You're getting you're stealing everyone.
In multiple aspects. And I think this is something in this 2024 recruiting class that's coming up too, because right now they only have like 8 or 9 commitments. Like, it's a pretty thin class compared to a lot of other teams out there. But if they start winning, these kids are going to want to come here. They're coming and visiting already. They're just committing to other schools. So they're already checking out. They're already taking in the environment and seeing what's being built out there. But if you're able to actually have wins to back it up, I think that starts to change things. You're also going to the Big 12, where you have multiple backdoors in Texas and one into Florida too, where Coach Prime just goes off on recruiting. And then he's obviously like one of the best in the transfer portal at this point too. So you could really, if they're able to stack wins here these next 1 or 2 years, become this like destination almost for like mercenaries of college football, really.
Right.
Is it completely based on championships, like back to the decade question? That's the barometer?
Well, so if you look at it, the 90s, because there's 3, so automatically the objective thing is number 1, but also getting the Rockies, getting the Avs, and then it being the first Broncos one. Like, we watched Elway's career, so it just meant a little bit more because we suffered or we waited so long for it. So I would say no. but it's still the championships do have to add up,
Yeah,
right?
definitely.
Or at least the accolades.
Yeah, you need at least one more for this one. Yeah.
So that's what I think. I think you probably need at least. I would say you probably need 2 more, just because again, it's hard to beat the first time with the Broncos,
Right.
And then it's hard with some of those other things, the Avs coming here and then immediately winning. So I think you probably need 2 more. But I look at it and I go, if I was to handicap how many championships will the Avs and Nuggets win in the next 7 years, I mean, the line is probably at 1. I don't think it's 0.5. I think it's probably 1.5.
Yeah.
I would agree.
So you have good chance here.
For sure.
And one thing you have working in your favor in the 20s is that's the Nuggets' first one, too.
Yeah.
And that's an important team to a lot of people in this town.
Right. There's no question about it. And I want to go through here because I wonder if you guys think about things in this way in decades. If I go through and I said the 80s, I think that there was a city that owned the 80s. I think it was Los Angeles. They got 2 Dodgers World Series titles. They got 5 Lakers titles, and then they got an LA Raiders title in the 80s. There's a couple other contenders, but I think they own the 80s. If you go 90s, and I just said sports in general, what city dominated the 90s in your mind?
Well, I saw your list, but
Okay.
I mean, Chicago,
Yeah, that's what I
Michael
was gonna
Jordan,
say.
man.
I didn't see your list, but yeah, Chicago.
And there was one team.
Yep.
One team, but they got 6. Like Michael Jordan, the best
Yeah.
athlete maybe of all time. Like it's Chicago, and then you could even go like Dallas. The 90s Dallas Cowboys in the 90s
Yeah,
were pretty
sure.
iconic. They get a hockey one as well. I think you could go to New York. The Yankees won 3. You get a Giants one. You also get an NHL one. The 2000s is easy. This was Boston. Boston dominated the 2000s. I hate Boston.
Yeah.
Gross.
They kind of dominated the 2000s and the 2010s, and it kind of sucks that they had this 20-year
I know.
run. You could also say in the 2010s San Francisco, they got 3 Giants titles and 3 Warriors titles in the 2010s.
And the Niners went to the Super Bowl.
The Niners
Yeah, they
went
were in
and
the
lost
mix.
one, so they were good. So I kind of like how only Chicago is the only one that we kind of make unanimous. But I'm looking at this now. Tampa Bay randomly has 3.
Oh, yeah.
In the 2020s. They have 2 Lightning, and then they have, of course, the Buccaneers. L.A. has a Dodgers, a Lakers, and a Rams one already. So Denver technically in 3rd at the moment.
Okay.
For the decade. But again, I think Tampa Bay is probably done,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and they don't have
You
a
got to
ton.
be tired.
They gotta be
I'm tired of winning it so early.
LA, man, you got the Dodgers. They spend $500 million.
Yeah.
They might just win 5 this decade. You never know.
Yep.
That is a possibility.
Well, same with the Lakers. They always think they're in a championship window, too. So.
Right.
They got to go through the Nuggets now, though.
Yes, sir.
But how cool would it be to be like Boston gets the undisputed 2000s, 90s gets or Chicago? It would just be cool if Denver was like, oh, yeah, that was the decade of Denver.
Yeah.
Yep. It'd be
They
amazing.
just dominated everything. They got that Rockies World Series nobody saw coming.
Right.
Hey, one can dream, guys. Production staff laughing back there. All right, guys.
That's hotter than the Chiefs pick. That is. That's way hotter than the Chiefs.
All right, that does it for the Denver Sports Podcast. Don't forget to check out Colton Strickler, DNVR Rugby. Don't forget to come down here and check it out. If you're into rugby at all, 7's going on all weekend, just $10. We also got Jake Schwanitz. His world's about to be turned upside down. Coach Prime season about to begin here, just 1 week away. And, of course, Nuggets only 6 weeks away from Media Day. It's sneaking up on you as well. Hit that like button. We'll see you guys next time.